thought I was invincible. I didn't understand that like not going to school or cutting class or not doing homework was gonna affect me.
No one ever asked me why my grades were slipping. No one asked me why I wasn't doing homework. They just kicked me out.
If somebody don't care about you, that just shuts some kids down, and that's what it did to me.
I just got so fed up with not being able to learn that I just said I could find another way to do it, and school is just not going to be for me.
Your life becomes so altered that you're not going to school to participate in school. You're going to school to participate in whatever gang activities you have to participate in.
I just dropped out of high school, like I'm that kid.
Okay, so everyone had a turn?
When a little kid starts school, usually there's a lot of excitement for many different reasons. It can be the social aspect of it, that they get to go and meet new people and play with different people and have different friends. Also, it's the academic aspect of it, that they're excited to learn something new and not be at home all day.
In elementary school, especially in the lower grades, a child is with their teacher all day. A sense of security, a sense of parenting that they are receiving during the day. Very important for kids.
My name's Emma, I'm 19 years old. I grew up in Park Slope, Brooklyn. I liked going to school. I got good grades going to school. My mom helped me with my homework every day. That elementary school taught me pretty much everything I know as far as how to learn, how to think even. Like my basic skills are from that school.
My name is William Quinones and I'm 25 years old. I grew up in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. In elementary school, I was in the top class every year, and so I was with a whole bunch of smart kids. It was like the smartest kid in the class and the class clown. And so like the teacher praised me, the kids praised me, and it was just, I was like on top of the world.
My name is Yazzie, I'm 18 years old. I dropped out of high school 2012, my graduating year. Elementary school was the best for me. It was me and my sisters. We was on the honor roll, and we was in the newspaper, the town newspaper, for the Mighty Eagle Award for the best grades of the year.
My name is Stefan Martin. I went to elementary school in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. It was probably the best times that I remember. It was just no stress. Everything came easy, to me at least, and it's like I didn't feel like school was an issue. It was just something that we did, and that it was a part of life.
My name is Morgan Asensio. When I first walked into a classroom, it was a bit exciting because I've always seen my older sister going through it, so it was something that I looked forward to, and yeah, I kind of was, it was something to do. It was like, it was a new start.
I believe that kids in the lower grades need that consistency, need that security of having one person throughout the day, and that's what we give them.
In elementary school, the teachers loved me. I had real relationships with them. You know, I would joke with them, they would joke with me. I felt like they actually loved me, and they liked me. They liked me as a person and as a student, and they valued my input.
It's not until 5th or 6th grade that you start to see us differentiating a little bit and almost departmentalizing some of the subjects, where maybe in 5th grade the kids will go to a separate teacher for math, and maybe they'll go to a separate teacher for science or English language arts or something like that.
The transition into middle school usually occurs around the age of 11 and 12, at the very beginning and onset of adolescence. It is the period of time when students begin to notice more how other students are noticing them, and how other students perceive them, and how their friends are acting, and how that may impact their own behavior.
I did feel insecure in school, look-wise, weight-wise, education-wise. I just never felt out there or like a part of anything.
Middle school will introduce you to classes. Like, it'll introduce you to who you're gonna be in school. Not particularly grades-wise. It's going to introduce you to, are people going to like you? Are you going to be a nerd? Are you going to be picked on? Or are you going to pick on people? Or are you just going to kind of be with the whole group of black sheep?
They want to belong to something, whether it's a club or a team or a group. That sense is extremely powerful to kids. And so whether you belong or you don't belong is important, and it affects it. I think that kids that don't belong, they're going to find something to belong, and it may not be positive, it could be negative.
Once I hit 6th grade, that's when I honestly started messing up, because I guess it was like the mid-teenage years, and that's when everybody starts experiencing new things, and I got stuck under the influence. When I was 13, me and my friends were caught shoplifting. When I found out that I was going to have to spend the night in Spofford, then that's when it really hit me, being there for 24 hours. I really felt like I learned my lesson and that it would never happen again. They say they send you there fit to change you. I honestly feel it made me worse, because I was in there with people that I feel, I stole a shirt, y'all committed serious crimes, so I have to be a certain stereotype or a certain character for me to fit in or for me to be comfortable at night. So when I came back, it made me more of a worse person than I ever was, because I was so stuck into one of those egos.
If you pass a judgment or you have a certain standard of a child, they're going to try to hold you to that standard. They're going to try to meet that standard because that's what you're expecting.
If a student doesn't feel that they have any value, if a child doesn't feel that they have anything to offer, then it can lead to all sorts of apathetic behavior. It can lead towards lack of motivation. If no one expects me to do well, what's the impetus to improve?
I work in the field of public health, and the public health model is very much about prevention. And children are essentially fit that model perfectly, because the more we address and identify and then solve early on, the more positive their long-term trajectory will be, and the less likely some of these issues will manifest in a more serious way as adults. Similarly, symptoms of depression manifest early on.
In 7th grade, I started cutting school. I couldn't wake up in the morning no matter how hard I tried. My parents are furious with me, trying to drag me out of bed. Every morning was a horrible struggle. And my mom got diagnosed with cancer around that age. And looking back on this, the worst thing I could be doing is not waking up in the morning. She's fighting for her life. I can't even go to school. When I was in 10th grade, I think I was diagnosed. Well, I know I was diagnosed with ADD.
Some people think that it's sort of a meaningless diagnosis or a catch-all phrase for any adolescent with any kind of behavioral problem. But ADD and ADHD do cause real problems for people who are suffering from them, not only in the energy and motivation department, but also in the organization areas and planning areas of the brain, which are essential, obviously, for academic success.
The high-stakes testing and the expectation of tests and the knowledge of tests starts to play more into 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And they realize that tests or grades begin to count for something.
I wasn't always good in school. I would say mainly a C average. I always kind of had problems with reading. It kind of took me longer than others to grasp. And my teacher used to fold the test papers and give them out. So a lot of people would see the grades and I would be embarrassed. It was I couldn't do it, and I was just I wanted to give up because it was so hard. So I think that's what made me was okay, this is not what I want to do. I'd rather watch TV and stay up late than, get up and be tired and having to do it. I got involved with a guy, and it was taking up my time, and he started pushing issues you could get your GED, you could do this, you could do that. So I was okay, but I was 16, so I had to wait till I was 17. I had all this time. So I stopped going, and it got to the point where I was only going 2nd period for attendance.
people automatically assume that if a child's a dropout, it just means they're a bad kid and they were not to amount to nothing. They're not thinking about whether that child's parents died the year before their graduating year. They're not thinking about whether the child parents were on drugs and they had to go through foster care and so on and so forth. They're not thinking about what was actually going on in the child's personal life to lead them to be a dropout.
When I was 7 years old, my mom and my dad split up, and so we were forced out of our grandmother's house. That's where we were staying at the time, and we had to stay with my mom's friend for about a year until we found our own place. And that same year, my aunt was diagnosed. She was HIV positive, and she got really sick. And I kind of stopped doing homework, and I stopped paying as much attention in class. Every time I would go home, you know, there'd be something going on, some screaming, some yelling, some madness, and I would just, you know, either like watch TV or read a book or something, as opposed to doing my homework. The first time I cut class was in 8th grade. And I don't really know why I decided to, but I know I did. And I know I was like only maybe like 20, 30 feet away from my class. So my teacher could have just like looked out the door and saw me. And I remember my heart pounding, you know, the adrenaline pumping through my, you know, through my veins.
The high school I always wanted to go to was LaGuardia. It's a performing arts school, and it's where a lot of famous people went. So I auditioned. I didn't get in. When you don't get into your high schools, you automatically get a list of alternative schools, you know? So I only know as far as I can imagine at the time. So what I did is I picked a school called Van Arsdale because of the name, and it sounded good. My first day of school, we're like, what is this long line around the school? And it's the line so you can get searched by the metal detectors, right? So now we're just like, why is there metal detectors at the school? I was in school 4 days before I felt like I was in a position that I would be hurt. And I'm not gonna lie, at this time I'm looking at these kids like animals. Like they look scary, they act scary. And all I know is I just didn't want to be the kids that were below them. I said that I'm not gonna go to school to get beat up. I just started hanging out with a lot of bloods to see how is it that I'm gonna become a blood and not be what we would say on everybody else's menu.
My usual day, wake up at like 3, watch television, go on the internet, like try to get my parents to give me money so I could like smoke pot, I guess. I would either not go, like never leave my bed, or I would go, maybe go to a class or two, leave and just walk around Manhattan.
A lot of times I would sneak out at night to my next door neighbor's house, and that's when I started drinking. The first time I ever drank, I drank like a wine cooler. 2 weeks later, I was drinking like Jack Daniels and like Hypnotic and like the hard stuff, and I must have been only 14 years old. And I liked the way it made me feel. I was hanging out with a kid who was like 6 years older than me and a girl who was 5 years older than me. And you know, they were talking to me, they were laughing with me, and they were listening, and they valued my opinion. Drinking made me become a lot more social than I usually was.
A lot of habits and behaviors that begin in adolescence are fundamental for lifelong behaviors. And so something that you sort of get in the habit of doing, you know, between the ages of 11 and 15 is often a behavior that stays with you over the course of your life.
It's hard to explain to somebody like my father that I don't care to do well anymore. So, you know, this is now another report card day, you know, that passes, and he's just like, all F's, it must stand for fantastic, because that's what my son does. And I'm just like, I don't know, Dad, you know?
My mom was crying. She thought I betrayed her. I mean, I was lying to her for so long. It must have been like 6 years at this point. She was like dead set on me getting my high school diploma. And I was like really behind at this point. I was about to be 18. I was in a relationship with a woman who was 10 years older than me. And I was still lying to my mom because I knew how much she wanted this for me. And one day the guidance counselor, basically, she forces me to bring my mom in, or else she'll expel me. And my mom finds out for the first time how bad I really am doing. And that's when the option is given to me, either two and a half more years of high school, or you can get your GED and possibly be in college at the same semester as your graduating class.
I needed structure, and I wasn't getting that structure. So I just fell off the map, you know? I kind of fell between the cracks. Ultimately, I was just done with school. It was making me very unhappy. I didn't like being there, or I didn't like that I couldn't get there some days, or that I just kind of put it in my head that I wasn't going to do well. So I dropped out of school. I felt a sense of relief because I was not going to have to deal with the struggle in the morning or the overwhelming feeling of missing all this work. There were a lot of moments of regret because you just dropped out of school, you know, you closed a bunch of doors.
I believe that under different circumstances that high school could have been good for me. I've been a member of the Bloods for going on 8 years, you know? I'm only 20 years old, 19 years old. All my funds revolve around illegal activities. Any way I acquire money, besides asking a parent for money, is illegal. I brainwash my own self because you feel you're doing what you have to. I just hit a low point, to the point where the only option was for me to escape this environment with my about-to-be new family, you know? And this led me into the shelter system. I'm in a shelter and I have $0, right? My family needs to eat, I still need to eat.
I thought life was hard when I was in high school. Life is hard right now. My mom got laid off, so I'm forced to stay with her and pay the bills. You know, for like 2 years I was sleeping on her couch. And that's hard. That's hard not having personal space ever.
The traditional high school model doesn't necessarily work for everyone. So if you're a student who's in a large public school system like New York City, you may be in a position where the way you're being taught or the way the schools are structured doesn't really help you learn. You're not retaining the information that way. Perhaps a smaller classroom setting would be good for you. Perhaps one-on-one tutoring would be good for you. There's a whole range of learning styles. And so to assume that one system can impact positively students with any kind of learning style is sort of a pipe dream.
My name is Marsha, and I'm the principal here at Arturo A. Schomburg Satellite Academy. Welcome to the first part of seeing if the school is a good fit for you and if you are a good fit for the school. We're considered to be one of the last stops for students who still want to receive their high school diploma. And so when they come to us, we're really cognizant of all of that and try to work with our students to help to re-engage them and re-motivate them.
I've been at A. Schomburg Satellite Academy since February. I'll be graduating in January of 2013.
Morgan definitely is capable. She came to us not really knowing what she wanted to do and not really sure if she wanted to go to college or have a career. But she did have a lot of support from home. I would say a lot more than what some of our other students have. But coming here, we've been able to motivate her and make her realize that whatever she's doing now is going to affect what she can do in the future.
This is a second chance. This is not another school that you can goof around at because they won't tolerate it. I learned how to be on time, you know, how to value that school is a job and it's not just, you know, it's for your future and to succeed. I mean, you need an education. I don't care what anyone says.
Though we are very supportive here and we try to re-engage the students, that still maybe high school is just not the thing for them at all. Maybe a GED program is best for them so they can get to college as soon as possible.
Exalt Youth Academy is a program that's held for children that was affected by the criminal justice system to get them back on the right path. For me personally, I learned more in Exalt in 4 months than I learned in high school in 4 years. And now I'll be working for my GED there and then get enrolled for my associates. I'm officially out of the criminal justice system. I was discharged from probation on June 14th, and I was in it since 2009.
You know, I'm finally at like a really good point in my life where like I'm working, I have my GED, I like myself, I like the people around me, I like what I do. I'm a functioning member of society finally. I want to go to college, I want to like expand my mind.
It can be far more difficult than I think we like to think it is to sort of pull yourself out of circumstances that prohibit educational success. And it creates this sort of perfect storm where students are really in a position that's far more difficult than I think adults assume to overcome.
Until our country really starts to think about education, and we really start to push for more social workers out there, for more mental health in our society, nothing will ever change. It's only going to get worse. And I think until we start working on this issue, it's going to be thousands, hundreds of thousands of stories just like me, but worse.